Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thanks for being with us on the program. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. If you're not familiar with all the different ways you can dive in on this show and how to listen to it, here's a tip. You can stream it online. You can watch it on the KSL Sports YouTube channel. You can go back and listen to the podcast versions of it. You can dial yourself in at 97.5 FM or 1280 AM or 102.7 HD2. Which you and I are a huge fan of.
That's my favorite in the car.
Yeah.
I listen to it on 102.7 HD2.
It's awesome. So
crystal clear.
We want to just throw it out there because we love that you guys tune in, and we love we're not able to do this without you guys who are listening. So we appreciate it. JJ, we're at another stop here. The tour continues of the Players of the Week honors. This week today we're down in Utah County for the KSL Sports Players of the Week Awards presented by Mr. Mack down here in Utah County. I think Mr. Mack himself, a.k.a. Alema Harrington, is going to be walking into these doors here, and we get to chat with him. And speaking of a guy who works with a lot of high school kids, this is right up his alley too. And Mr. Mack is good to get on board with it.
I guarantee he's not walking in here without a suit on.
Oh, listen. Well, at the very least, he's going to have some shoes that are worth more than any suit that I own.
That's for sure.
And they'll be like, he got it. They're like the kicks that my kid wants to buy. You know what I mean?
We'll have to ask him who's the best dresser on the Jazz.
They compete.
Games, him
they
or
compete.
Thurl.
But they compete, and Mike Smith
looks
gets involved
good too.
And they Bowler's like, settle down, guys. Give me the black suit and a jazz pen. I'll be fine.
I'm a simple man.
Well, he doesn't. You don't need to do all the colors. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's
crazy.
It's you got to look good on TV.
Alema is going to come down and chat with us. He's representing Mr. Mack today, and we're going to be chatting with them as well. And so we're going to honor another set of Players of the Week. This time the Utah County edition, which is great because we're going to see a lot of kids that we got to cover. I mean, JJ, you cover 90% of these games. I get to do a couple a year, and even that for me, it's so much work, and you do so much work, and Jake Hatch does such a good job, and it's kind of celebrating you guys too. But these high school kids, this just keeps getting better and better. Last night was awesome up in Salt Lake at our studios.
Yeah, it's all about the kids and celebrating what they've accomplished. Football's a hard game, and they put a lot of time and effort into this. And when they do something special and they stand out each and every week, it's great to give them some recognition for all that hard work and that dedication. You know, some of these guys are going to get a chance to play at the next level, but not all of them. And so
most won't,
an
right?
opportunity to celebrate what they've accomplished
Yeah.
and have moments like this, it'll benefit them for a lifetime. So they'll always remember these things and stick with them. So we're fortunate to be a small part of that experience for them. And it's just so important to celebrate what our youth are doing in this community. And football is just one part of it. And the great thing about going to a football game is it's not just the players, it's not just the boys. You got the cheerleaders, you got the dance team, you got the band, you got everybody involved in it.
It's an
even
event.
the students, and it just gets all these schools together, and it brings people together, and that's why we love to celebrate it.
I mean, obviously we'd be able to get actual numbers on this, but we watch a lot of high school. We watch a lot of prep stuff. KSL leads out on that, but I want to know. I mean, it has to be the most. Every year going forward, it has to be the most kids signing to play in college that we've ever seen.
It grows each and every year. Yeah, and even with the crazy, it's funny because having been around it for a long time, recruiting has changed dramatically, and you even talk to the kids today, and the way that they're recruited today is much different than it was 5-10 years ago.
Right.
Social media's changed everything. How schools are doing it has changed, and the transfer portal has. To be honest, it's hurt a lot of high school kids. Schools that were looking for freshmen in the past aren't looking for freshmen anymore. They're looking for a kid that's ready to come in and play. And so some of the opportunities that existed before aren't there anymore for high school kids. And so that's kind of a bummer because you want to see these kids get the best opportunities. But it's a new world we live in, and everybody's having to adjust.
The man himself just walked in. We're going to be chatting with Alema in just a second. We were taking bets on what shoes you had. Yeah, there's always something.
Gosh, even when he's casual, he looks good.
And listen, when you say
Look at that.
New Balance, like what's funny about that is people go, oh, yeah, that's a dad shoe. My kids, this is the thing. This is the thing now. So Alema, of course, on brand. We love having him here. He's going to chat with us about Mr. Mack in just a few minutes. We have some breaking news, so let's fire it up here. We are getting right into it, JJ, and this one is wild. Let's go over to the try to figure out how to get a new coach breaking news desk. What's the latest, JJ? What happened today? Just mere 45 minutes ago.
This is a big one. Michigan has fired head coach Sharon Moore. That's according to Pete Thamel and others reporting this. And there's even more detail coming down. Through Pete Thamel.
This is not because of the job
everybody's
he's doing.
Dan Wetzel, Adam Schefter, they're all involved in this. This is multiple sources now reporting that UM head football coach Sharon Moore has been terminated with cause effective immediately. Following a university investigation, credible evidence was found that Coach Moore engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. So Michigan is looking for a new head coach now after that report came out.
Stop me if you think that you've heard this one before, as Morrissey said. And, I mean, across the street in East Lansing, Mel Tucker, not 2 years ago, was Sharon Moore today. We have examples across the board of these possible things that have happened, and coaches, well, kudos to Michigan. Because you're a big institution, and you can make things not disappear. I don't want to make it sound like the big M is for mafia. What it is winning is the most important thing generally for these programs and generally in sports. And they let a lot of things slide. You don't let this slide in 2025. This thing has been sliding for decades prior to this. And I'm glad these universities are stepping up and going, hey, look, the biggest names with the most money at the top of our sport will be done immediately, and good luck finding a job ever again, Sharon Moore. And I'm telling you, it's one of these things. Now, again, he probably could find a job, and these are all allegations, okay? But in the end, Michigan doesn't make decisions lightly, and so their investigation came up with it, and I think that the bottom line is Sharon Moore – put them on the list of bad guy, right? For these coaches, you have one. They really just tell you it's like you got to win, and number two, you can't have an inappropriate.
You can't
relationship.
embarrass the university.
You can't have an inappropriate.
You can't violate Title IX. So
yeah, it's a huge deal. And by the way, what does this do for Michigan? What happens now?
Well, from a football perspective, this is quite a bombshell because the coaching cycle is pretty much done. I mean, you've seen a lot of jobs already filled. Some of the top young coaches in the country were already snatched up. Some of them you're going to see in the college football playoff. Where does Michigan go from here? I have no idea. And I don't think they were planning on having to. Or,
I got a name for you.
So this is pretty fresh. So I'm in my mind, I'm jogging, trying to figure out who would be next, who hasn't already taken a job. Is there a big name that's already at a place that would consider leaving now to take this job?
I've got two fun ones.
Okay.
Urban Meyer's available. Okay.
You think he would go coach the team up north?
It's like coaching. It's like if he came in and took Kalani's job. If Kalani would have left, that would have been the
Gary Anderson's at BYU.
Yeah,
anything's possible.
Anything can happen. But my actual serious one that I think could work, I think John Gruden.
Gruden.
I think John Gruden.
You think he could do college?
He is so dying to get back into the game of coaching. Now, that's a weird switch from NFL and the weirdness that surrounded his firing. But he's also suing the NFL and going after those guys, and it's like a mess with that. And he's standing on his principle. But anyway, I don't know what coaches are out there. I don't know who's available still. I mean, you could go out and get Mike Gundy and patch something up for a year, but that's not a Michigan guy. He can't do that. What happens to these kids? It's one thing to leave and go to another school and then hit the transfer portal. Oh, that's right. Biff Pokey is the guy. He's the
interim head coach now at Michigan.
So he did that while Sharon was suspended for the Michigan violations of cheating.
Right.
he's a guy who has been a guy floating around college football, and he's made his millions off of like investment banking, and then he just turned coaching into like a hobby because he could do whatever he wanted, and now he's the interim head coach at Michigan, and his players love him, by the way. But that's a cool story if you ever going back and look that up. He's had a long, illustrious career in coaching, but I don't know what you do going forward, and I don't know what Michigan's done for a couple of years at least. You know what I mean? Even with NIL money coming in,
they're Michigan now.
There's some of they could get as much money support as anybody. But what they're not going to,
I bet. I'll finish your point, and then I'll share my.
I bet they're going out there and they're saying, "Hey, we got to get somebody, and we got to make a big splash." But the reality is none of that Michigan money goes away from those people. And in fact, your donors are going to go, "We got to step up. We cannot lose a step. We can't lose a step." So Sharon Moore out at Michigan, allegations of an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. We've seen this one before. Like I said, how on earth does this keep happening? It happened 18 months ago with Mel Tucker at Michigan State. And you would think that these guys would learn a lesson. But no can do. No can do. So there you go.
They're Michigan. They'll find whoever they want. They'll open up the Brinks truck. Some big name out there right now, they'll be able to prime away.
Do you think that they'll be able to just pick up where they left off there? I mean, they didn't have a phenomenal year, but I will say it, the 10-win season that they had.
They went 18-8 under Sharon Moore.
Yeah, but I think that was important the year that they had this year. Last year was definitely a down year, the year after a national championship. But they got up to 10 wins, right? They were 10-2 at the end of the year. And
they beat Michigan. They beat Ohio State last year. I mean,
right.
They were,
4 years in a row.
They did some good things. They were right in the mix. They're a ranked team. They were in the college football playoff conversation until a late season loss. So
yeah, that's interesting you brought that point up. It's a really good point about just being like, look, when these types of firings happen at big enough institutions, they can just buy their way into some patching up something going on there. So anyway,
who do they want? I mean, that's essentially what it comes down to is at this point, who do they want? And they can go chase that. And they have the money. And it's one of the most prestigious jobs in the country. Where would you rank Michigan in jobs in college football? It's top 5, maybe at least top 10, right?
Yes. Yeah.
The resources, the history.
It's the second-rated public university in the country.
It's an incredible school.
Yeah.
We've been to the big house. You've been part of that environment. The list of coaches that have been there is impressive. So,
by the way, not a great place to watch a football game, but I'm just putting it out there.
I mean,
it is the big house, though.
It is the big house, but I, like you, I was like, oh, what's the big deal here?
There's a lot of people, but I can't see anything, and I can't actually hear anything.
Yeah.
Nobody's that loud. Like I want these guys to get excited.
But anyway, I look forward to seeing some of the names that surface and some that are kind of under the radar. I think there's going to be some big names at big institutions, maybe even some that are in the playoff right now, that end up getting in the mix. We'll see how that develops.
Kalani gets revisited again. Hey, you know what? Guess who might be available? I think a perfect fit for at least 5 years would be Coach Kyle Whittingham. That'd be wild, right?
That would be wild.
You don't think that? No. You think that he's either you think he's done coaching if he says that he's going to be done?
Oh, 100%.
So he's just going to go off into the grandfatherhood? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I totally believe
There's no job that would prime away at this point if he walks away from Utah. No job.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I just think that most of the way that people deal with this is just throwing money at it, and Michigan certainly can do that. So, All right, that was the breaking news at the top. Now let's just get to the cut and get to the opening of the show we actually had planned out. Let's jump to it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Trajan Wealth brings you this portion of the program. TRAJANwealth.com. It's Trajan Wealth for all your trusted local needs in retirement. JJ, more talk today, obviously, about the college football playoff, where conferences stand and everything. And Brett Yormark had some comments talking specifically about this. He was asked about BYU's position in the college football playoff. And I was a little surprised with his there was a lot of his statement that I liked. There was a little bit that I think you're going to have maybe BYU fans raise an eyebrow and go, huh? Brett Yormark talking about the whole Notre Dame situation, though, was pretty interesting.
I will say this, and I'm a little outspoken about it. I don't like how Notre Dame's reacted to it.
So
Okay,
said,
I think Pete's his behavior has been egregious. It's been egregious going after Jim Phillips when they saved Notre Dame during COVID. We all knew, and it was very transparent. Hunter was very transparent about it, the chair, that as Notre Dame and Miami got closer together, head-to-head would be a factor. Okay, BYU lost. They became closer together, head-to-head, and made a difference in that decision. So I think he is totally out of bounds in his approach, and if he was in the room, I'd tell him the same thing.
No doubt. First of all, Brett Yormark is not a guy who steps away from a fight. I don't think you can be like that East Coast Jersey guy and be in the position that he is and not pull punches. And pull punches. Here's what he said about BYU. I was happy about BYU. No. Or was I happy about BYU? No. But I think overall the committee did the right job. Listen, it's progress over perfection. So he said that they got it right. I think he didn't do enough walking up to it. I think that what really took BYU out of this college football playoff was where they started in the rankings.
Correct.
And that started with the AP, but it also started with the college football playoff rankings. If they would have been a little higher and maybe not punished as much during the time kind of crawling their way back to only have that one loss and to get to 11-1 and to match up with Texas Tech, it just is. It's kind of hard to watch that. But I think he's also kind of towing the line and saying, hey, the commissioner. I think Hunter did a great job. And by the way, no one else is saying that. No one else thinks that Hunter Yurchek did a great job.
First compliment that Hunter's received.
But you know
I'm
what?
Sure he's thrilled.
He didn't want to do this. He didn't want to sit. It was going to be Rhodes, right?
Yep.
Mac Rhodes, right?
Yeah.
Or you forgot his name, the Baylor AD.
Former
Baylor AD. So anyway, it just has gotten weird. But I thought it was interesting that he said that. He says that Notre Dame's athletic director, Pete Bavacqua, he says he thinks his behavior is egregious, as you heard right there. And I think he's totally right. And I like that somebody in another conference, not just the ACC, because the ACC does need to stand up to Notre Dame. Notre Dame pretends like they could have everyone killed here and do the old emperor thing and do the thumbs down, and that's not the case. And if Brett Yormark shows up and goes, yeah, if Pete was in the room, I'd tell him his behavior sucks and he needs to get better, and we can't have this and this doing like, that Notre Dame is a victim. That is the worst thing I've ever heard in this sport. There's no dang way Notre Dame could ever be considered a victim in any of this.
Notre Dame's acting like a spoiled child. I don't like the way that they've handled this post situation. That's not a good message to send to your players. When you deal with adversity, when things don't go your way, you're teaching your players to what? Act like this? I don't like I don't like anything about it.
It's dumb.
I don't like the way they're handling it, and I agree with him that Bavacqua's handled this poorly. It's also really rich that Notre Dame moving forward now is guaranteed a spot in the playoff if they're top 12. And nobody knew about that until all this stuff came out. But
no one knew. No one knew.
Little thing in the fine print of the deal moving forward. But I will say this about Brett Yormark. I felt like he could have done BYU a greater service earlier in the process. He was way late to the party on speaking out. And I'm sure he was told that. And all of a sudden, in the last week or two, he suddenly surfaces on live broadcasts and wherever he can be. Where was he when the first rankings came out? Where was he after BYU took a 6-spot fall after that first loss to Texas Tech, which was ridiculously
6 spots when they
and
lost.
That's what hurt. That was ultimately the difference.
Yeah.
As soon as they lost that first game, remember that was their first loss.
If Notre Dame loses that game against Texas Tech, the way that BYU did, and they were 1 spot ahead of Texas Tech, what do you think? I mean, it's a weird hypothetical.
They're not going to drop that far.
They probably wouldn't be out of the top 10.
Look what happened to Alabama.
I bet they'd be 9 or something like that.
Alabama got boat raced by Georgia the second time around, and it was everyone looked the other way and said, well, they already beat Georgia.
It matters.
Well, that was a long time ago. It should matter what happened today. Anyway, the commissioner could have stepped forward early in the process and stood up for BYU. Now, would it have made a major difference? Probably not, but it's optics. Your commissioner needs to be fighting for the teams in this conference. And I think that these schools want to see their commissioner step up for them because who else is? It's a political process. Let's not lie. Let's be honest about it. There's definitely some politics that go into it, and ESPN's a powerful entity, And they have a lot of pull and say in this, whether they want to admit it or say it or not. And so you need your commissioner to stand up for you, and I felt like he could have done that earlier on in this process, and that was a little bit of a letdown. I know, I get it, that the conference is probably thrilled that Texas Tech is top 4, that they're getting a bye. But the whole thing with BYU isn't just about BYU. It's disrespectful to Texas Tech. Because the reason why BYU is getting so much flack for their losses to Texas Tech is because nobody respects what Texas Tech is doing.
Sure.
Everyone respects Georgia, so it's like, Alabama lost to a great team. They already beat them once before. Texas Tech's not getting that same kind of respect that Georgia's getting, even though I think you put Texas Tech and Georgia on the same football field right now, I'm picking Texas Tech.
It's hard not to right now, considering what they're doing. And I think the national people – I'm actually curious. I don't know for sure if Texas Tech – everyone just goes, they could win a national championship. I'm like, you're technically supposed to put every team in the college football playoff that could be good enough to win a national championship, which is where I think it falls short. There's a few every year.
Let's go to 16.
I don't know if that'll happen. I do hope that it does. I hope it goes to 24 and they do the 4 auto bids for all the big leagues and then they figure out everything else, and the SEC and the Big Ten could maybe be satisfied with 6 in a piece or 7 in a piece every year.
They're greedy. What did the SEC
They got
commissioner
5
say
this
last
year.
week?
Yeah.
I think we should have 8 teams in.
Oh yeah, they got 5 in.
Come on, man.
They had 3 last year, and that couldn't stand this year.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that was, and I'm not usually the conspiracy guy, but the 3 teams from the SEC that got in, and Alabama being one that didn't, I feel like a phone call from Nick Saban to Greg Sankey, not that they don't talk at all anyway. And I don't know if that kind of thing happened, but you think Nick Saban has some sway? I want that guy to run all of college football. I hope that they have a governing body and he's the head of it because he's so dang smart about it.
They do need a commissioner. There's no doubt about that. And this basically is pro sports at this point.
Yeah.
So you need somebody like that to kind of make everything work. And they got to figure out a way. But, Yormark's right. The playoff is a step in the right direction. It's just disappointing how it was all sorted out.
Yeah. Well, it was going to be imperfect because the people in the room are imperfect, and that's the way it is. So you got to be satisfied that it's not the old way that we used to do it. Hey, it was another group of fat guys in a room deciding back then. It was just all the writers.
You don't miss the old Bowl Alliance?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, Bowl Alliance. Oh, yeah. Bust the computers out again.
The good old days back in the 90s.
We'll come right back. JJ and Alex continues right here. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex with the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen. Nice enough to sit down with us because he's here and he's nice like that, and I think he enjoys doing this, and it's probably as easy as it is to do anything else.
Yeah, I love high school football, and that's why we're here down in Utah County, and Mr. Mack's a part of that, and so I'm happy to be, involved. And I got to tell you, obviously the Utah Jazz is a big part of my life and my career.
Oh, of course.
And but I absolutely love doing high school football. I've done it in this market, I think, since 2004. So 20-plus years going on at this point. And love Utah County football, too. A lot of good football down here. Region 3, of course, with Corner Canyon, other side of the point of the mountain. But there's such great football here. I love talking high school sports.
Well, it's something that's special to all of us because we all have leaned into that prep sports side of things. It's great. So I want to ask you about something. And JJ and I, when we do these shows, we talk about everything. Let's talk about the Jazz for a minute because I wanted to know from the coverage standpoint when you're watching this team and there are flashes of brilliance from. Keontae George is the story of the year.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah.
And there are these bright spots in a year where everyone says we already know what you are, and dealing with that.
Yeah.
How do you guys deal with that? And because watching Will Hardy approach it seems different than what people think it was going to be.
Well, I think that coming into this season. And we had some opportunities to talk with Will about what were the expectations were going to be. And I think that they have just said, you know what, Will, you go out and put that team out there and see what can happen. And so he's really approached it that way. Now, obviously, development is still was a huge part of last year. And everybody was being told we're going to play the young players and just be, understanding of what's going to happen. This year, you're going to get a mix of young players and what can we build around. And I think it becomes more and more evident as we watch them play together that Lowry and Keontae are kind of the building blocks here, with Ace Bailey coming along. That's a talented young kid that's got so much upside. And so I think, our approach continues to be, even when we have these blowout losses that happen in the NBA, but when you have back-to-back losses the way that the Jazz, and then, you hear – what came off, on social media and the sideline.
Oh, Will Hardy getting after his guys for not trying?
But you
Come
love
on.
that.
People are surprised that a coach yells at his players.
Well, I don't know. I hope people are not surprised by that.
Why
if you
was
sit
that a
anywhere
deal?
near that, then you
already
weren't
know.
around.
Imagine Jerry Sloan
right,
having
you weren't
a video
around during the
leaked
Jerry
on
Sloan
social
era
media.
because the Jerry Sloan era was, that was pretty wild for people that didn't understand that there's still some serious coaching going on here.
Yeah.
So I think as we approach it from a broadcast standpoint, we're constantly looking for ways to, continue to develop and to tell that story about how the Jazz are developing and looking at the improvement and being honest about, okay, that just was not a good performance. And Will Hardy was not happy with that, and you wouldn't expect him to be. So, For us as broadcasters, anybody that's involved in that type of broadcast, you're always, hoping that you're not going to get 5-10 losses in a row, that you have opportunity. Yeah. And that's what we are getting. We're not – I don't anticipate that we're going to have these long losing streaks where we've lost 10 in a row and we've run out of things to talk about. We're going to continue to have moments where there is a growing pain, and then it continues to develop, and now you see a flash of wow, this is what this team could be, which we've seen, whether it be the Boston game or other times when the Jazz have overcome, some deficits and been able to make it competitive, even hang on to win games that they never would have won last year. There are situations that the Jazz have been in this year that are completely different from what we were dealing with last year.
Yeah, Lem, I look back last year, and it felt dark. Like, it was hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. This year, while they didn't win the lottery, and that was kind of the end of it, when they lost the lottery, we were sitting at JCW's doing our pre-lottery show and watched it all develop, and we had a crowd there, and the air just went out of them, and they walked out of the restaurant, which was kind of a bummer.
I got to admit, I was mowing my lawn, listening right with the headphones on. I'm listening, and everybody in my neighborhood could hear my response. What?
Over the lawnmower. You know how dark that moment was?
I love dark. That was a dark time.
It was. We followed the Jazz for a long time. They're not used to being in the situation. And fans, you talk to fans all the time, Alema?
Yeah.
Like, they're like, what are we doing? Like, when are we going to win games again? Because fans here were kind of spoiled for a long, long time.
They're still showing
Even
up,
post
too.
John and Carl.
Yeah.
Like, we had good teams here that won a lot of games and went on playoff runs. And we've had all-star players since then. And now it just felt dark. But, Alema, I feel like it's turning this year. Like, Keontae George emerging as a potential star in this league has been a great development. You know who Lowry is, and you can see how Lowry and these young guys can work. But then, Ace hasn't had it every night, but you don't expect him to. But when you see the flashes, you're like, that kid could be an all-star someday. And there's another lottery coming up. Now, what do you think? Can you see the light at the end of the tunnel now, and you see there's this hope for the future?
And this is what we continue to tell this story, right, which is, okay, look at Houston, all right?
Oh, it's a
4
great
years
example.
ago, this was a terrible team.
Yeah.
And then they, continually would progress every year. Look at OKC, right? This is the blueprint. And they did it in the draft and did a little bit through free agency, getting Shea there. There are things that we can look at because we have this perspective. We're looking across the league and we're playing all these different teams. It's like, man, this team right here, this is what the Jazz could look like in 2, 3, 4 years. And that gives the fan base hope. Yeah. It's like, okay, we're not going to win it all, overnight. But I was just at our Sandy offices for the Jazz now, which are over in Southtown Mall.
Yeah.
And one of the things that stood out to me as I walked past this, this mural that has there, the bullet points of what the values are and the mission statement. And one of the things that it said was, to build the state of Utah, and then the bottom was win championships. And what it said to me was that we're doing this from the ground up. You know, yesterday I think the night that was our day of giving for SEG, and it's getting involved in the community, and then, you know, with the Mammoth now, all that support as well. You see how this thing is, you know, being built to grow to the point where the byproduct eventually, and hopefully sooner rather than later, is going to be championships coming to Utah.
Detroit's also one of those stories where you're like,
Another great example. Look at Orlando now.
They were supposed to be the worst team ever.
Yep.
That was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That was 3 years ago. And we always talk about OKC because that's a Western opponent.
Sure.
You know, but there are teams that go, hey, the timeline thing where we all say, give it 5 years for the rebuild. It's like, that's not a prescription anymore.
Yeah.
It's different. And, you know, I love seeing how these kids respond too. What out of these young guys who are on this roster, Keontae George is making that impact, but who else is, you know, everybody wants to see what Ace Bailey can do immediately.
Yeah.
He's doing what a rookie does. He's coming in. He's having flashes of brilliance. He's learning a ton. Is he learning a ton?
No, he is absolutely learning a ton. And one of the cool things that we, you know, observe while we're sitting at our broadcast position and we're watching the game, and we're just kind of, you know, south of the Jazz bench. So we're looking down on, and I'm watching the older players like a Nurk or like a George Niang or
Love this season,
Kevin
of course,
Love,
too, yeah.
right? Who is they're embracing these young players as they're coming off the floor. And there's a lot of coaching that is not being done by the coaching staff, but is being done by the veterans that have been brought in. But I still look at Bryce Sensabaugh, you know, continued development as a guy that can stick in this league. And Taylor Hendricks coming off the injury, okay, let's see what he can do, and that's going to take some time. But as you're looking at Filipowski, like I think of Kyle Filipowski and his ability to just kind of sit and learn at the shoulder of Lauri Markkanen. I've seen so much of him, you know, mirroring things that Lauri does, and Lauri is a phenom. He's
a
a
freak
bit
athlete.
he's a bit of a unicorn. I don't know that there's any other 7-footer that's been in the league that is like him. But at the same time, if you're Kyle, you're looking at Filipowski, you're looking at okay, what can I become and what can I learn? His ability to catch the ball up high and hit a three has improved dramatically from year one. And to see him have kind of the flash that he had at Summer League, and then that still takes time to translate into the NBA, but we're seeing some of that from him. So there's a lot of bright spots with the Jazz.
Well, I obviously with you sitting in front of us, I'm like, I'm not going to let this go because I want people to get excited about it. What's been great is, and there are games that I've gone to with my credential on, and there have been games I've gone to with the kids, and guess what? They aren't like. They don't do like a, you know, I haven't liked some of these shifts. You know, I haven't liked some of these calls that Will Hardy brought off the bench.
What kind of rotation is that?
Yeah, no. They're there, and guess what? They freaking love it, every second of it. And these are kids that watch a lot of sports, but it's interesting to watch this whole thing develop. And I think people do the dramatic thing. Our market doesn't do the dramatic, like, paper bag over the head and we hate our own team and it's self-loathing on top of it. No, we don't do that.
No,
or please, let's not get to that. Or at least, we do not want that. Okay, so we'll take another break here. We'll come back. Alema's going to join us for another couple minutes here, and then we're going to cut him loose because, I don't know, he might be the busiest man on the planet.
He's got a lot of important things
He's got
to
some
do.
things going on. So we'll come right back. We got more to go. Stay with us. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody. Real life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We appreciate you being on the program here with us. We appreciate Alema Harrington, who's been nice enough to hang out with us. We're at the Player of the Week Awards here. KSL Sports Player of the Week Awards presented down here in Utah County by the good folks of Mr. Mac and Trucordia, who's hosting the event tonight. And it's awesome. The prizes get to be better. The kids got some really cool stuff last night that they didn't know they were going to be getting. And I think KSL's done a great job of sneaking in some prizes that the kids didn't know. Because I'll be honest, one of the kids yesterday, the parents are like, we got to drag him to get going here. And I was like, they were like, dude, we're going to go to this thing. They're going to honor you. He just didn't like the whole attention thing. And then by the end, smile on his face, cool new watch on
By
his
the way,
wrist.
I was just yesterday out at Rockwell with Rich Eggett and Johnny Rich. And Johnny was telling me, "Oh yeah, we just did the watches,
all the logos,
all the logos." And I love these guys. These guys, and we have so many companies. And Trucordia, we're here with one of them today, Mr. Mack, of course. But there's a lot of companies, Rockwell's being one of them as well, that are so tied into our community, and I love that. And I love what Pete was saying when he talked about the relationship with high school sports, because people need to understand from a marketing standpoint. My brother works in the sports marketing world. From a marketing standpoint, if you're looking for something that is going to tie the community to you emotionally, get involved in local sports, because everybody has a positive opinion about their school, their kids, and if you can attach your brand to that, then there's this carryover
100%. That
you get that love too. It's like, oh, these guys, like, I don't even know this company, but they're supporting my kids, so I'm supporting them.
Yeah,
right?
Prep has such a totally different reach. And it's so unique because it's not the thing. You're not going to break down high school games like on the radio ad nauseum, right?
And you're not nearly as critical of the high school players as you will be of,
But the stream up online.
Yep.
If it's not up, I mean, we get killed, right? Like
and for good reason.
I know, and so you have such a demand because these are their families and they're into it. I want to get your thoughts before we chat a little bit about Mr. Mack that you. With the Kalani extension and just how much energy is coming out of Provo with the money stuff and all those things that just went on. It was a wild 10 days for BYU.
It's interesting because, college sports and sports in general, there's a lot of action and reaction. And when let's say when Utah went to the Pac-12, the kind of knee-jerk reaction, we're going independent.
Yeah.
Right? Now, BYU has all this money that is flowing in, and the knee-jerk reaction, okay, we're going private equity. It's like, okay, we got to figure out what this landscape looks like. Now, I'm extremely pleased with the way that Kalani was handled, that it got handled in the timely fashion before early signing day.
Yeah.
I thought it was handled by Santiago and that group very, very nicely and in a very positive and timely manner. And so I'm grateful. And I've known Kalani for a long time, known his family for a long time. His dad and my father, before he passed, they were good friends. He used to play squash back before pickleball was a thing together here in Utah County. And so I've known that family a long time. Of course, covered Kalani's career and his brother at BYU. And so when I look at the best possible coaches for BYU, Kalani is at the top of that list. And so I'm so grateful that he's able to stay and at the same time use that opportunity when you do have some leverage to not just improve your situation, which the beautiful thing about Kalani is never even seemed like it was about that. It wasn't about his salary. It's about what can we do to set up the program to continue to be successful, and we've got to compete in this new landscape, and how are we going to do that? Let's like put that foundation in place now so that we can have success going forward, because he knows as well as any of us know that a 6-win season is right around the corner for any coach, but how can you have some sustained success and maybe a 6-win season and not around the corner? Like if you put the things in place that you need, you might be
10
able
to 15 million more in NIL funds, you can avoid that.
You can
ask
avoid
Texas
that.
Tech. You could all change in 1 year. Before we get out, get the best blankets and gifts ever. Save 50% right now this season with the promo code ZONE50. No better time during the holidays than to go to MickeyCouture.com and get these for 50% off. Best blanket ever, best gift ever, or at any of their 6 locations. We'll come right back. JJ and Alex continues. We're going to chat with Mike Folta, play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth, coming up right around the corner here. Stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.